Hello, guys. Welcome back to BoreDraw. The Premier League is back.
Come
Episode
on.
30 is here. We've had some great fixtures over the course of Boxing Day and the days following. Um, yeah, it's been a good, nice little festive period of football. The Boxing Day fixtures always hit just that little bit different. And we're going to just run you through a couple of the games that we highlighted some points from and get our opinions, get Roz's opinion. He had a good week on the predictions. So,
He did
yeah,
indeed. I've
yeah, let's say.
decided 3-1. If I can't think of a score, slap a 3-1 on it. 3-1 is such a good, yes. And that did
I
me
mean,
good.
yeah, there was 4 3-1s, and you had 3-0s. A lot of goals on Boxing Day. A lot of
There always
goals.
is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, should we start with Spurs against Brentford?
Yeah, Spurs versus Brentford. I mean, I actually didn't watch this game. I was on a nice little walk, Boxing Day walk early in the
Come
morning,
on.
you know.
Love that.
And but I had the headphones in, the AirPods in. I was thinking, what the fuck is going on, mate? Because
Well, I
I
backed Brentford
expected.
to win. So as soon as they went 2-0 up, I was like, yes, this is nice. And I knew, so we've been saying since time, and pretty much every football fan knows, especially Spurs fans know, they start games so badly. And this was no different. They started shit again, 2-0 down. Could have been 3. Ivan Toney scored another one that was offside. But yeah, they were just second best the whole first half. And I was going to, at half time, I was going to tweet a slanderous Harry Kane tweet. But I didn't because I'm a nice guy. And lucky because in the second half he scored a goal and it would have made me look like an idiot. But I think the first half he ghosted so hard. I don't know if it's fallout from the World Cup, if he's just a bit like, I don't know, unsure of, I don't know. But he was shit. And so was Spurs. But second half, they came back. They do what Spurs have been doing. I think once they lose kind of any care in the game and they're like, fuck me, all we need to do is attack, when they don't have to think about it too hard, they do all right. And that was like this game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, for me, looking at Brentford, they had the last result before the the World Cup break was that massive win against Man City,
Yeah.
which was, I think, was a bit of a surprise because before that, I think they had started to see a bit of a slump. They had a couple draws in a row, and
Yeah.
I mean, they drew against like Forest, Wolves, so teams that they hoped to be beaten, and then they got absolutely battered by Villa 4-0, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they hadn't had a decent run. Like even before that, 0-0 versus Chelsea, which is a good result. They beat Brighton. Then they got battered 5-1 by by Newcastle, sorry, and then drew 0-0 against Bournemouth.
Mm.
So they weren't on like the best run of
Yeah,
form.
they've been a bit all over the place. But
But
against
the
big
problem with
teams, they're hard to beat.
and that's what I was going to say. Like apart from really, I mean, they lost 5-1 and 4-0 to Villa and Newcastle, but apart from that, they are hard to beat. They
Mm.
don't really sort of like capitulate until they
Yeah.
sort of like, which I was surprised to see them do against Spurs,
Yeah, and I
especially.
saw an interesting stat that apparently when they're winning at half time, they've never lost a game or never dropped the 3 points, actually. So not even
Yeah,
drawn a game. And so for Spurs to do that is quite like fair play to Spurs because they're obviously not an easy outfit to come and get 3 points against when you're losing. But on Spurs, I don't understand it, man. How do you start games this badly all the time? Especially once once is like a mistake, twice is whatever. It's become like a habit now that they're
yeah,
in, and it's like
they
once
are
you clock
notoriously
it,
the slow starters of the league.
how do you not fix it?
I
Why
mean,
don't you
I'm
just
not being
come
funny
out
here, but
one game and start extra fucking hard?
they've got a fantastic manager in Antonio Conte, and it's a bit wild for me to see this long into his tenure now that he hasn't resolved that issue. I don't
Yeah,
really
exactly.
understand what's going on. I think Basuma had a bit of a horror game in this one,
It's that
and
Spurs midfield, and we've said it since the beginning of the pod. It's just not. It's not at that kind of
it's
elite
not
level.
yet.
You need athletic runners that are good technically, and Spurs don't have that. Basuma is an athletic runner, but his technical ability isn't great. Højbjerg, his technical ability is okay, but he's not an athletic runner. And Bentancur is kind of like a middle at both. Can get about, is good technically, but not elite at either. And so their midfield just, if they come up against the midfield, which is what Brentford had in Norgard and whoever else they had, in the midfield.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
just got
no, and
absolutely
Jensen.
outworked, and yeah, Brentford just were all over them in that first half.
It's strange to me as well how Spurs play with out wide on the pitch. Yeah, they started with Doherty, Perisic, Kulusevski, and Son, right?
Mm,
And none of their play comes from out wide. Like you
no.
don't ever see anyone run into the byline to get balls into the box. You don't ever see anyone like you see how other teams that play with a three at the back, when they're in possession of the ball, they almost push to a two at the back with the third defender holding as a pivot. But Spurs don't do this. Like there is just a lack of there's a lack of tactical know-how, a tactical lack of tactical nuance when it comes to
Mm,
their play. It's very much we're just going to keep trying to do the same thing and
yeah,
hope that Harry Kane can find the pass or hope that someone will get in behind or something. And the problem is like if you're not creating these chances consistently, you're not gonna get away with it every game.
yeah.
Like they're lucky they've got someone in Harry Kane who will score 9 out of the 10 chances
They're
it comes
so
to.
lucky Harry Kane, Kulusevski, and Son are decent. Son's
Yeah,
a bit off the boil. Kulusevski looked good in the game. But they're so lucky their front three can win them games because the rest of the team is, dare I say it, average. And I'll put this out to Spurs fans. Let me know what you think. But I think their kind of inconsistency. So you were saying about how none of their play comes down to the wings and like the utilization of wide spaces. Is that down to the chopping and changing of fullbacks and how, say, like a team like I don't know Arsenal or Man City, their fullbacks and wing backs and their wingers have a relationship. They know who they're playing with, be it Ben White and Saka, be it I don't know Carl Walker and Mahrez or whoever it is, Salah and Trent. These kind of players have this kind of fixed relationship. Whereas Spurs, if you know you're starting Son and Kulusevski all the time, have some fixed fullbacks, be it Emerson or Doherty, but both of them are shit, be it Perisic and Sessegnon. I think chopping and changing doesn't allow you to build this relationship with your partner on your side. And then that doesn't allow like Perisic to feel comfortable enough to push forward or Doherty to feel comfortable enough to push forward because there's no kind of cohesion with the person that's in front of them. So I think something needs to happen there. They need to get back in the market, get some decent fullbacks. And then also, I don't think their centre backs are technically and tactically smart enough to do the kind of thing you're saying where like two of them cover, one of them steps forward. I think there as well, they just haven't got elite players. And it's just holding them back, I think.
and like a lot of Conte's success has been from being defensively solid and then being able to take your chances further up
Build
the
from there, yeah.
pitch. But they are constantly going behind in games, and
Yeah.
I don't know whether this formation is it for them. Like if you look at the best teams in the world, yeah, you're looking at Barcelona, you're looking Real Madrid, Liverpool, City,
Arsenal.
Arsenal now.
Come
Like, no,
on.
I'm not even being funny, but like
Yeah.
they all fall back to a 4-3-3 of some sort, whether they have a diamond in the middle, whether it's an asymmetrical 4-3-3, so they overload one side of the pitch. That's what works.
Mm.
And I mean, Spurs have fantastic wingers in the likes of Kulusevski, Son, even Perisic. You've got the likes of
Richarlison.
Richarlison who can play out
Yeah.
wide there. So I don't know if this 3-4-3 formation is utilizing that sort of those players to their best
No,
ability. I feel like they would be better dropping back to a back four. You're having
me too.
Doherty. You don't have to play a shit centre back. Then you don't have an extra shit centre back on the
That's
pitch.
the thing
They're,
I was
they're picking
exactly
between
thinking.
Tanganga, Dyer, Longley, fucking Ben Davies,
Yeah,
man.
their
This
formation is making them use another shit centre back. Why would you just not go a bit more attacking, get an extra midfielder in there, and then you stop having to use three shit centre backs?
and
Exactly
I
what you're
feel
saying.
like that switch instantly gives you more control in the middle of the pitch. You
Yeah.
don't have to be conservative with a four at the back formation. Like that's not how it is. Like three at the back gives you a little bit of extra defensive security whilst allowing you to play wide, but it's not working for them. So
Mm.
like if the likes of Doherty isn't getting up enough, why don't you just leave Perisic on the bench to the 60th minute, have someone else come into the middle of the pitch? I mean they've got the likes of Bentancur as well. Like I know he wasn't on in the squad, but if they get another midfielder in, someone in the like the mold of a Fernandez or even a James Madison would be a fantastic signing for them.
Yeah.
Give
Oh,
them a
big
little bit
time.
more creativity, give them a bit more control in the middle of the pitch, and that will allow Kulusevski, Kane, Son to play higher up the pitch. And
Yeah.
also, Kane's going to have someone in, like, whether they play an 8 role or a 10 role, the 8, like a bit more of an advanced 8, will allow him to have someone to, like, do some link up play with. But
Yeah,
instead, he's got like
100%.
two defensive midfielders basically in Højbjerg and Basuma in the middle of
And
the
you're
pitch.
asking way too much from them in Basuma and like Højbjerg, because you're asking them to do the defensive work and the kind of knitting the play together in the midfield and go forward. Whereas, like you said, if you play three in the middle, you leave Basuma to do his defensive work because that is what he's good at, defensive work. Just leave
Let
him
him
to do
just
that.
sweep up, yeah.
Have Bentancur kind of knitting the middle, and then, like you said, if you get a James Maddison or someone of that like in, you allow Bentancur and James Maddison or whoever it be to kind of work on the attacking play, and that's a nice fluid midfield that do everything you want. But
Yeah,
instead,
exactly.
you're shoehorning two midfielders in that can't do everything, and you're playing with three centre backs that are all shit. So might as well scrap that completely.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think Spurs, if you want, me and Ros will go down to Tottenham Hotspur
Start doing
Stadium,
some
and
free and
we'll
frees
start
and
getting this
stuff.
go. Ros is going to go against his beloved Arsenal just for you,
I'll
just to
just
prove
rock
you
up
guys
in my
right.
Arsenal jumper and be like, but
Inside
yeah, no,
job.
I think there are problems for Spurs, and the run of fixtures they've got coming up aren't particularly great. So I think they need to start getting points, because if they keep starting off games shit, especially with the games coming, and we're going to talk about it later when we do our predictions, games are coming thick and fast in this like next week or two. And if you don't pick up any points in this next like 3 or 4 games, you're going to be falling out of contention pretty quickly, especially with
Yeah,
the likes
and
of Chelsea and Liverpool picking up form and
Man
trying to
United.
catch up. Yeah, Man United.
Yeah.
So there's
So
no
I mean,
time to
Spurs in the
dicking
next.
about.
Spurs have got Villa at home, which you'd probably expect them to win, but Unai Emery's a good manager.
And
He
Villa
won't
look
make
good
it
against
easy for him.
Liverpool. We're not talking about them in this episode, but they did look all right against Liverpool.
Yeah, they weren't bad, and I think Liverpool were just had a bit
A
too
bit,
much firepower for them.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, then they got Palace away, which I think Palace have fallen off quite hard,
They
and I
have.
think Palace could be a bit of a nervy end to the season for them. But then coming up, they've got a double like header. They've got Arsenal at home, which is going to be massive. Then they've got Man City away.
Blood
Then they've got
clot.
another London derby at Fulham away, and then
Who
they've
look
got
good.
Man City at home again.
Fucking hell. Yeah, it's not
Like,
looking good, bruv.
and then even after that, they've got Leicester, who are a bit of an unknown entity at the minute because some games they look electric and some games they look shit.
Mm.
And then they've got West Ham, which is obviously another massive London derby. So sort of West Ham
Yeah.
shit form
Yeah,
goes out
it's
the
a
window,
it's
doesn't it?
a tough run of games, and it's going to come thick and fast. So Conte needs to get these boys moving, because yeah, I'm not
But
entirely sure on Spurs at the moment, because I backed Brentford to win that game. So that tells you what you
yeah,
need
I
to know.
mean, before the end of this January transfer window, they've got to play Arsenal and City and Fulham potentially.
Yeah,
Like,
could
yeah,
be
so
sticky.
there is stuff to get done, and the answers aren't obvious as much as we can sit there and discuss
No.
from an outside perspective. There's probably reasons why Antonio Conte is staying the way he is.
Well, I think
Maybe
it's
he
all down
feels,
to, like you said, he is a free at the back manager. That is kind of his style. So it's hard if you're that manager to deviate from that, even if the
y-
players aren't like
yeah,
good enough to, I don't know,
facilitator.
facilitate it. Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, the thing is though,
either
like,
Conte
do
needs to
Spurs,
move, or like move his
yeah,
style, or the players need to step up.
or I mean, have Spurs invested too much within Conte at the minute, bringing in the likes of Kulusevski on a permanent, bringing the likes of Richarlison, you know, Bentancur, all these fucking fullbacks? Have they invested a little bit too much into the Antonio Conte style for him to move on at this time?
Yeah, that's a good shout as well. It's like one of those things, because he hasn't tied down a new contract. Are they kind of holding off in the January transfer market? Oh, look who it is.
It's the boy.
He's had a trim. But yeah, is it that kind of thing where like they're probably like a little bit iffy in the transfer market now, because they don't know if Conte's going to be there in the summer, and they don't want to get in loads of players that aren't going to be his players come summer if he moves on.
And a lot of places that Conte's gone, he's been sort of a short-term solution. He brings
Exactly.
a little bit of success, and he's not a project manager the like of like Graham Potter or someone like that.
Yeah.
Jurgen Klopp, he will perhaps generate short-term success, but he tends to leave clubs a little bit more bloated than
Oh
they
yeah,
need to be.
100%. That is
You over
classic
you
Conte, isn't
over
it?
influx of players that are
Yeah.
sort of will
On
do a
fat
job for a
wages.
season. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you look at the likes of Perisic, someone like that, who
Yeah.
very Conte player, but is it sort of worth your future, like your long term success for a bit of short term success. I
Yeah,
don't
it's a
know,
wobbly time at the moment for Spurs, I think.
but yeah, I mean, it is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting for sure. I mean, the other thing is, I've seen a couple people on the timeline shouting for Conte out and Poch back in,
And Poch back in because he's on the market, isn't he?
but
Interesting.
that's just seems to me like you're just going in
Backward
circles at
step.
that point.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it'd be worse, to be honest. I don't know if it'd be worse because a lot of Spurs fans were quite happy with Conte's shit football because it's not appealing to watch.
It's
It's not
so bad.
entertaining.
And I see it
But
on
then
the
he was
TL.
getting
It's like
results.
for Spurs, it's hard probably watching how shit the football is, not getting results, and then watching their closest rivals play like probably the best football in the league and top of the league. So it's probably
Yeah,
like a hard time at Spurs.
but I think there was a stat like when Conte first came in for the rest of that season, no one picked up more
Spurs were on
points than
crud.
Spurs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
and
second half, yeah.
suddenly, like now, teams have sort of figured out how to play against them, and
Yeah.
it's sort of reminiscent of the World Cup to me. Like you're seeing a lot of teams with playing very like defensive football. So you're talking about like when Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, like these teams that shouldn't be beating Argentina, they were going out and they were pressing them high and they were sort of attacking them a bit like more ferociously than perhaps they would expect. And maybe teams coming out doing this to Spurs, knowing they're slow starters, Brentford 2-0 up within no time and suddenly Spurs on the back foot again. And they're just lucky they've got the quality in the likes of Kane and Son and, Kulusevski, players like that to
Yeah.
get them through these sort of dead games. But yeah, no, interesting time for Spurs. Yeah, I don't know if Conte will still be there come the end of February. I don't know.
I think
Maybe,
it's going to be a wobbly rest of the season for Spurs.
definitely.
And you love to
From a
see it.
team, yeah, from a team that's on the ropes a little bit in Spurs to a team that is absolutely soaring, mate.
Bloody
Bloody
tunes.
the Toons, mate. They are on a
Come on.
different level right now. They were unbelievable against Leicester,
So good. And
and
pre-game, Newcastle, so they had quite a fair amount of players out. No Wilson, I think he's got an illness. No Isaac, I think he's back soon, but he's still got an injury. No St Maximan. So you kind of look at that game. Leicester go into it pretty much full fitness minus James Maddison, and you're thinking this could be tight affair. Leicester pre the World Cup break has started getting a few points on the board, but no, first 10 minutes and fucking Chris Wood and Newcastle are peppering Leicester. They look so
yeah,
good.
and Leicester before the break sort of picked up a little bit of form. They had a couple of
Yeah,
results. Um, no James Madison for them, which is a big loss.
he's a big
Their
miss. Yeah,
team,
big miss.
their team. You look, they had like Dennis Pratt playing. They had a Jose Perez come on.
Mm.
They had like Sumare and Tielemans sort of in that holding role. Indeed, he coming in the 72nd minute, and a back four of Castagna, who I actually rate quite highly. I think
Yeah, I
he's a
like
decent
Castagna.
fullback. Then they've got Thomas Amati, and
Amati is probably the worst centre back in the Premier League,
well, he's not even a centre back. He was a
and
defensive
he's not even a
midfielder.
centre back. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they've got Fez, who I'm not sure about, and they've
I don't
got is
mind
it
him,
Luke
but yeah,
Thomas as well, who he's an academy graduate, I think, from Leicester,
yeah.
but he's not at the quality of. I don't think he's a pro. I think he might be like a decent championship left back, but I don't think he's that good.
And that's how I feel about Danny Ward in goal as well. He's not Premier League quality for me. I don't think.
But then you look at their bench and they've got Sionju, Jamie
No,
Vardy, who's
nothing
just
there.
way past it.
Yeah,
Mark Albrighton, who's been there since they
like a
formed as a
million
club.
years. Yeah.
Got Ian Nacho on the bench, who I don't
Yeah,
really
he's got
know
to be
what's
starting.
happened.
I think if you're not playing Madison, be it him injured or you're not playing him, you've got to start a duo of Daka and Iheanacho for me because that's a scary front two. And you just, in my opinion, just get all your best players on the pitch, even if they're not on form. Get them on. Iheanacho is probably the best striker they've got at the club,
Yeah, I agree.
and it's
I
like,
think
how's
he
he
needs
not
a
starting?
consistent run of
Yeah,
games to get going.
and you saw that last season or the season before, where he got a run of games and he was scoring pretty much every single game.
Yeah, I agree. And then they've got the likes of Vestergaard and Pablos Mendy, Ndidi, Iverson. Like their squad is so subpar. It's not even a
Yeah,
joke.
it's start
Like
like they used to have like a collection of players that would get them through games that were always a little bit too good for Leicester, but they've like gradually lost, be it like transfers out or injury. They've
or
gradually lost
age.
all their
Yeah.
all yeah, they've just lost all their gems. And now, like you said, their squad is very poor, and they
They're
haven't gone and
suffering
like
from a
recruited.
lack of like recruitment now. So you like
Yeah,
look
in
at
the
teams
summer,
like
all they got in
Brighton and
Fayez,
Brentford.
and yeah, it's not good enough.
I mean, they lost they got
Fofana.
Fajan as like as a replacement for Fofana like on that last day, I
Yeah.
think it was. They also signed Vestergaard, who was actually decent at Southampton. Like,
Mm.
yeah, that was, I think, was that in the summer transfer window
Nah, the winter before, I
before?
think.
Was the
But
winter before? But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
they haven't replaced quality with quality.
not at all.
This has got to be Jamie Vardy's last season, to be honest. I
Yeah,
don't.
Vardy's going to be heading out. Tielemans, his contract ends at the end of the season, so he's
He'll be
going on a
gone,
free. So
and
James Maddison will probably get snapped up in the summer. So
I think it's yeah,
it's a big, scary time. We were saying scary time for Spurs, but it's an even scarier time for Leicester
Leicester.
because arguably their three best players of like the last couple of seasons in Maddison, Vardy, and Tielemans, they're all going to be gone in the summer, pretty much. And
100%.
if
Yeah,
they don't recruit, they might not even be in the league. And so, and they'll have big players on big wages in the championship, which never worked. So, scary time. And then if Brendan Rodgers leaves, could be even bigger problems. So I don't know. It's a scary time for Leicester, I think.
I think this is the season that they've got to pray there's three teams worse than them in the league,
Mm.
and then they've got to, in the summer, just restart the whole project. Get
Yeah,
rid
they've
of
got to sign young
everyone.
players.
Get like, I mean, they're not going to get any money for Tielemans, but they'll get like, send Vardy on his way to Celtic or something.
They've just got to hope Madison brings in like 70 mil. Yeah.
cash in on Madison, cash in on Barnes maybe, and
Yeah, that's a
then
shout.
reinvest that somewhere else. I think maybe they can get some money for Daka and Iheanacho,
Yeah,
but
maybe fucking Castagna. Yeah, they've got to ship out their best players,
and then
overpaid
get
players,
some,
try and
yeah,
get money in and lower the wage budget, lower the age profile because the age profile is quite high, and just kind of start from scratch again. Kind of like what Southampton are doing, but hopefully Leicester they should have more pull than Southampton
I
and
agree,
offer a
yeah.
bit more money. So kind of do what Southampton are doing and getting like young, hungry players in at lower wage, but hopefully, yeah,
Yeah, I think
it's yeah,
they've got to scout sort of the lower leagues, maybe look
yeah,
at players in the championship, look abroad, and to get some of those players in, like they sort of did with the likes of Mahrez and Kante, and
yeah,
those sort of
exactly, yeah.
players. Get them in, and look for sort of longer term success, and most likely get a new manager in, maybe someone a bit more exciting than Brendan Rodgers. I think his time's run his course
Yeah,
there.
I think he probably wants a change as well. Like he was competing for Champions League places, Europa League places. He won them the FA Cup. So the fact that they're like in and around a relegation battle, one of them is got to bite the bullet. Either he's got to leave and be like, I want a new project. Because he's done his time at Leicester, really. He's got them to an elite level and they're dropping now. And get a new manager in they make the decision and they say, we're going to start a new direction with a new manager, kind of like what Chelsea did, getting rid of Tuchel. Just say we've got a completely new project in mind. Even though Tuchel and Brendan Rodgers have brought us success, they're not the people that are going to take us forward in this new direction and get a new person in that will.
I mean, you look throughout the history of football. Success is very temporary,
Mm.
and it's very rare that managers will continue to see success at the same club for long stints of
Yeah,
time because like teams adapt and they learn how to play against you. Like you're sort of. I think it is time for Rodgers to go,
yeah, I think
and I
so.
think it might be time to sort of for Leicester to revamp their identity a bit. That because for a couple of seasons they were hitting up there with the big boys, but those days are past now.
Yeah, I think the
And
big
if they
six have
try
done
and
their
hold
just
on to those old days
research.
for too long,
Yeah,
it's gonna bite them in the arse, and they're gonna be really, really sorry for it. So, but yeah, I mean, on the other hand, they've got
yeah. Let's
bloody
talk about
Newcastle.
Newcastle, mate. Fucking,
I'm running out of words to
they're so
because
good. Eddie
do you know
Howe
what?
is
Like
elite. He's proved he's an elite manager. I think he was at Bournemouth for ages, and then he lost his job, and then didn't get a new job for a while. And everybody was thinking, "Oh, why has he not got a new project? He was really
links with
good at
Celtic
Bournemouth.
for a while.
He was linked all over the gaff, and either he didn't get himself the job, or people weren't sold on him. And I think when he got hired by Newcastle, I think a lot of people were probably thinking
Too much.
too much, or kind of like they'll get him in for a bit let him kind of start the project, and then when we're hitting around kind of Europa League places, we'll sack him off and get in like a Europa League Champions League manager. But he proved like immediately that he is smart enough in the big games to take on like the big six teams and come out with a result, and smart enough to build kind of an identity and a project. So I don't know. I think a lot of people probably expected the base level from Eddie Howe, and he's punching with the big boys.
Yeah, from their 3-0 win over Leicester, yeah, Newcastle now sit 8 points above Liverpool and they are 9 points above Chelsea, okay?
Mm.
How many of these players from Newcastle starting 11 would get into Liverpool or Chelsea starting 11? So Nick Pope, I don't think he gets in over Allison, and like maybe he'd be up there with
Maybe
Kepa.
Chelsea, but nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kieran Trippier at right back, you could argue for Liverpool probably would, and then probably would for Chelsea if Reece James isn't
Yeah,
fit.
Trippier has been one of the best right backs in the league, I'd say, this year.
Revelation. I mean, you can see that the point that he joined to the point they are at now, that is a correlation that you can make.
100%. Yeah.
Fabian Schär and Sven Botman.
Sven
I don't.
Botman is a big shout, but
Botman could probably get into maybe the Chelsea one for me. I don't know if he'd start over Matip and Van Dijk for Liverpool, but
I
he's a
like
very
the
good
idea
player.
of Van Dijk and Botman, though. That is nice.
Yeah, but then Dan Burn over the
I
likes of
like Dan Burn,
Chilwell
to be
or
fair, but he's
Cucurella.
not that guy.
This is the bit that really wows me. This bit here, Sean Longstaff, what's his name?
Joe Willock.
Joe Willock. I was about to say Chris.
You got Chris
Joe
Willock on the
Willock.
mind.
Chris Willock always on my mind, baby.
Come
But
on.
yeah, Joe Willock, and then obviously I think Bruno Guimaraes will get into both the Chelsea Liverpool teams. I think
Pretty
he's
much
the
every team
stand-up
in the league,
player.
I'd say. Yeah.
Yeah, but then Sean Longstaff and Joe
Yeah,
Willock,
Joe Willock.
two players that
Uh,
I would have
yeah, before
picked
Eddie
like
Howe,
to
you'd
be
say
like
probably
championship
like,
players.
yeah, championship players or low-level Prem players. So the fact that they're third in the league with a team that have got the best form in the league is crazy.
Best form, five wins out of 5, and they're third in the league. They're literally sat. This is mental. They are 2 points behind Man City,
And
and
then you've
yeah,
got a front line of fucking Chris Wood, who is in a Burnley team, and they've been relegated. Almiron, who pre this season couldn't hit a barn door. And who do they have out on the left? Oh, Joe Linton,
Joe
who
Linton.
got signed for 40 million as a striker, absolutely flopped. I swear he scored like 1 goal in 60 games, and now is one of the most elite midfielders in the Premier League.
Yeah, and he was playing out wide for them this game, and I
And
think
so
he's
a lot of
like
that, it's got to be down to Eddie Howe.
they've taken away. You sort of saw that Joe Linton transition from the striker into a midfield, sort of a wide man
Yeah,
in the end of like the Steve Bruce era, I think it maybe was. But he's unbelievable. I think once you've taken that goal scoring pressure off of him
big
and
time.
allowed him to sort of become more creative, he's transitioned his like mental state, and that's what he does now. And he's
Yeah.
excellent at it. And he's such a nuisance because he's so
His
big
work rate is
and
outrageous.
he's
Yeah.
technical as well, which is just like horrific for anyone to play against because
Yeah.
you can't get close to him because he's going to hold you off. He's fast, he's athletic, and yeah, he's
Yeah.
got the technical know-how to sort of get past you, or he could pick a pass, he could take a shot. Like he's involved. He's
Yeah.
a
It's
nightmare
such
to
a good
play
team.
against. So yeah, unbelievable.
And then obviously,
Um,
Almiron, who's scoring goals for fun now. I think he's on 10 goals in 16 games, which is crazy.
yeah, it's
Which before that, I
unbelievable. I
think he
mean,
was on 2. So it's like nuts.
and they've got the likes of Saint Maximan to come back in. I mean, I think he had a shortcoming at the end of the game. They've got the
Yeah.
likes of Alexander Isak as well, who impressed in his early games and hopefully can recover
And
from
what's
that injury.
scary is this is all before kind of big
Spending.
spending. So I
Yeah.
think if they get Europa League or Champions League, whatever they get, spending's going to be whammo in the summer. And that's when it starts to get scary for other teams. That the likes of these people that we were saying, like Sean Longstaff, Joe Willock, I don't know, Dan Burn maybe, these kind of players that are good facilitators for now, they're going to get upgraded upon heavy. And then it's going to be like, shit, this is an elite Champions League team.
And I think that's where we're going to see where Eddie Howe's pedigree as a manager stays because he's tend to do well with fairly like average players and
Mm,
making them look brilliant. You look at the likes of I wouldn't say Callum Wilson's average, but he made him look elite at Bournemouth.
yeah.
Um, you know, was it Fraser as well? Looked really good.
Yeah, I
Like
actually
sort of
forgot he was still at Newcastle.
yeah, those old school like Bournemouth players, like Steve Cook was brilliant for them.
Mm.
I'm trying to think who else did they have? Yeah, I can't remember, but they had some great players, and I mean, he's thrived in that sort of echelon of where he's not managing elite players,
For getting the best out
but
of like
so
just
yeah,
above
when
average. Yeah.
when Newcastle do inevitably spend some money and get some big names in there, and
Yeah. Can he
I'm not
handle the
talking the
egos?
Neymars, but I'm talking like your players that played in the Champions League for several seasons,
Yeah.
your players from the likes of maybe the fringes of like a PSG or a Real Madrid, players like
Yeah.
that
Exactly.
who probably have a bigger ego than they should do. How will he sort of manage that? And because maybe his success does work from players being humble and
Yeah,
understanding
that's
that they're
true.
not the best in the league. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
But it's good
I
times for
d
Newcastle.
Yeah, and they've got a fairly decent run of fixtures. I mean, they've got Leeds at home, and Leeds are a little bit poor.
They've got us soon. I think us
They've got
again after.
Arsenal, yeah, Arsenal away, which
Ooh,
will be
ooh.
their toughest fixture. Then they've got the
Scary.
likes of Fulham, Crystal Palace, West Ham, Bournemouth, and then the next hard one is Liverpool. So, I mean, it's a decent run, and there's no reason they can't stay where they are in the
Yeah,
league because,
yeah, yeah, 100%.
I mean, look at the likes. Man City they've got Chelsea away, they've got Man United, Tottenham in a double, then they've
Yeah, a
got
lot
Wolves,
of the
Tottenham
big teams are
again, and then
playing
they've
each
got
other in the
Arsenal the
next
week
few weeks.
after.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
and
there will be
those
drop points
teams
around the top.
those teams have got the likes of the Champions League to be thinking about as well, Europa League, things like
Mm.
that, and Newcastle can keep themselves fresh. I mean, I know they got through the Carabao Cup, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Um, I think they won 1-0, didn't they, against someone?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
against
recently.
Bournemouth, I think.
Bournemouth, that was it, yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, it'll be it's interesting times for Newcastle,
yeah,
interesting
big
times for
time.
Eddie Howe, and I wish him all the best because it's lovely. It's great to see this sort of like story come through and
Yeah,
really
100%.
do
I
well.
like I like Newcastle. Good fan base. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure they're buzzing.
yeah. The Geordies up there are having a great time.
Come on.
But yeah,
Talking the great time though. The bloody boys, we're having a
Are you
great
getting
time,
vertigo from up there, Roz?
mate. I genuinely, you kind of every week that goes by, you're kind of like teams are going to catch up. Something's going to happen. But we're still clear, mate. Still 5 points clear. We
5
could
points
fucking dick
clear.
about next game and still be top. But we won't. Arteta is that guy. He's got them kind of all thinking one game at a time. Just do what you can. Do you see Arsene Wenger is in the crowd for this game? So the feel good
Yep,
factor
yep.
is well and truly back at the Emirates Stadium. And yeah, I'm very happy with what's going on.
I'm not surprised, but I'd be happy if I was an Arsenal fan too. I mean, the only thing that does scare me a little bit, like I don't really have too much to say about the West Ham game, other than West Ham were poor, and I think Arsenal were
They were
good,
really
and
poor.
and I
Or we were
think
really good. It was a bit of both, yeah.
yeah, I don't think you were the best that I've seen you, but I think West
Not
Ham
the best,
were,
but I think we were
yeah,
quite good.
and but obviously the best that I've seen you has been elite, electric levels.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, Eddie Nketiah, I thought did all right. I didn't think he was outstanding, but I think he did a job.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think a
think
lot
I
of
did,
people were scared about Eddie covering for Jesus, and quite rightly so. Jesus is an elite player that's been in Champions League finals. He played in the best team in the Premier League for 5 years now. So it's scary that he's injured, and we've got an academy graduate that's not played like more than 20 games before in the Prem to come and fill in. But what I like about Nketiah is his finishing in the box, where we were discussing pre-World Cup.
Jesus, yeah,
Jesus finishing and how it like leaves a bit to be desired. Like he'll say he gets like 5 chances a game, he might bury one. Whereas Nketiah probably won't get as many chances a game, but his finishing is probably, in my opinion, the best at Arsenal. He's so good in and around the box. He's done it at kind of all kind of levels growing up, and yeah, his finishing is elite. And I think hopefully it'll benefit us in a different way that like maybe where our goals were getting spread around pre-Jesus, goals were coming from everywhere down to Jesus's link up. Maybe the spread won't be as varied. People still chip in like Saka and Martinelli like we saw, but we hopefully should see more goals come from our number 9 because his finishing is better. And we saw that with his goal. Did you see his
yeah,
goal?
yeah. And
Electric,
it was
mate.
yeah,
The way he
it
spun the
was,
defender and then found the far post is so good.
and obviously you had the Saka goal also that was ruled out for the offside touch.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was quite unlucky, but that was really good link up play between himself and Saka as well. I
Yeah,
think he actually did a very good job of holding up the ball and getting involved in the play, which
yeah.
I think is what you sort of asking from him in to like filling in his role that Jesus does like facilitate usually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the only thing is for me is I think you do need another striker in January. Someone maybe a little bit different to a Jesus and Kessie in the sense that he's more of
Yeah.
like maybe more of a target man, brute force sort of. It gives you that option to break down a team that you're
Yeah.
struggling against. You know, I mean, if it's not working, it's not clicking, you can't find that through ball. But I think with the likes of Martinelli, Odegaard, Saka behind, even Xhaka as well, that they chip in, you know, so many
Big time.
goals
Yeah. Yeah.
that you don't really need that out and out goal scoring striker so much. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you've been linked with Mudryk as well.
Yeah, I think that is
I mean,
going to
that's
get
pretty
over
much
the
done.
line. Yeah, I think
He posted on
he
Instagram,
will
didn't he, that
be
he's watching the game and
very
stuff. He's been
exciting
begging it, yeah.
player. Yeah,
So
he'll be
yeah, that'd
exciting.
be a
He
nice
reminds me
little
of like a
switch.
young Leroy Sane, and so yeah, I like the idea of him kind of filling in at left wing, maybe moving Martinelli down the middle or something like that. But
I think
yeah,
Martinelli's I can't see a way that Martinelli gets moved out. I think he's might have be outshining Foden for me this season.
Martinelli's sick.
Yeah, no, he's unbelievable. Like I it's very close between him and Saka. For me, I don't really know who I prefer out of them,
They're both my star boys. It's
but
crazy.
they're unbelievable. And then even
Yeah.
Odegaard in the middle, he like for his
Yeah,
age,
let's
he's
talk about
so
Martin
composed.
Odegaard.
Yeah,
Captain of Arsenal, who are top of the Premier League. Martin Odegaard's 22 years old, I think, or 23. He's done the rounds at Real Madrid and like loans all over the place. He was that kind of star prodigy. We signed him for 30 million from Real Madrid. And now he's captain in Arsenal, top of the league. I think behind De Bruyne, he's like best chance creation in the league. This game, I think he got 3 assists, maybe, or 2 assists.
yeah. I
So
think he got two, didn't he?
everything that we do good in the game goes through Odegaard. And I was saying this to someone while we were watching the game. They were like, "What kind of player is Odegaard? Like, how would you describe him as a player?" And I was like, "He's that kind of player that just a midfield technician that never drops below an 8 out of 10." I've never watched an Arsenal game and thought he's had a stinker. For me, he's always playing at like an 8, 9, 10 out of 10. Kind of like a Kevin De Bruyne. Whenever you watch Man City, everything runs through De Bruyne and De Bruyne drops an 8, 9, 10 out of 10. And that's what I feel like with Odegaard. Everything runs through him and he's just so consistently good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree, and I don't think that anything he does is like super flashy or
Nah,
eccentric, but
that's the good stuff.
he does the simple stuff so well, and he
Yeah.
is the gel that allows your team to sort of like flow.
Yeah.
He he is the lube of this Arsenal team. Like he
What a
makes
loopy
everything
boy.
glide. Like he
Come
makes
on.
everything glide, and that allows Saka and like he facilitates Saka and Martinelli to receive balls at speed.
That's what
Like
Luke does, mate.
that's what the lube does, mate. He is a lubey boy, our Martin
But
Odegaard.
yeah, him for 30 million, it's got to be one of the best signings of like recent Premier League times because he's going to
Time will
go on.
tell.
He's so young. He's just only going to go on to bigger and better things. And I think at his age, I don't know many people at 22 years old that have the football IQ that he does. He's just always one step ahead of like every other player on the pitch. And I think, yeah, elite level player. I hope someone doesn't like. Surely Real Madrid can't come and re-sniff around him, but like, yeah,
You
he's
never
that
know.
guy. He's that
The
guy.
only thing that for me, apart from Arsenal needs to sign maybe another striker, is the next run of games isn't the easiest run. They've got
It's
so
hard. I'd call it
tomorrow
hard.
you've got Brighton away. De Zerbi's
Not
Brighton,
hard.
who have
Yeah, not easy. Not easy.
impressed quite a lot of people, and you know, so that's going to be a difficult one.
And we always
You've got
struggle against Brighton.
Eddie Howe's Newcastle at home,
Very hard.
which going to be a difficult one.
Probably one of the hardest fixtures in the league at the moment.
Then you've got Tottenham away.
Piece of piss, mate. We'll slap them up.
Then you've got Man United at home, who are coming
Fucking
into
hell.
reform.
So annoying
And
they're
then
our
you've got
only loss this season. How has that happened?
and then you've got Everton away, which you should win. And then
See.
in game week 23 starting 11th of Feb, you've got Brentford at home, which Arsenal seem to struggle against Brentford. I don't know.
I don't know. We slapped them up earlier in the season.
Oh, that's true, yeah. And then Man City at home,
Yeah,
which
I
is
think
the
we got
big
Man City
one.
back to back, which is not fun.
But the good news for you that week, Man City have also got Aston Villa, I think. So they've got 2 games in that week.
Yeah,
You've
the
only got
fixture's going to
1.
come thick and fast, and they're not easy, especially because we've got that rescheduled Man City fixture from when the Queen died. So it's not ideal for us. We've got quite a few hard games coming, but all we can do is take it one game at a time. Form's looking good. Everyone's fit minus Jesus. In the January transfer window, hopefully we get Mudryk in. Hopefully we get a fit and firing Emil Smith Rowe back in. So that'd be exciting.
That's also that's a massive point. Yeah,
So for us, it's just take it as it comes. Pre-season, top 4 was the aim. And I think it's easy to move the goalposts and say now we should be kind of where we are, staying top of the league. But it doesn't always work like that. Like you said, we've got Europa League football coming. Our squad is thinner than Man City's. It's thinner than Liverpool's. So it's not as straightforward as we should stay top of the league. And
yeah,
my
that's
hope
it.
is still Champions League football. So
Yeah,
anything better than that is fucking happy days. And that's how I'm seeing it, I think.
but you got to be a little bit excited.
But
You got
something might be
yeah.
happening here.
You just got to make sure you don't get too carried away.
Yeah,
But
something might be happening.
before we get on to our predictions and round out this episode, we'll just talk about Man United. A very, very good performance against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
They've let go of Ronaldo. They don't have to worry about that baggage anymore.
Ronaldo United again.
And Marcus Rashford is firing. He's looking electric. He scored a brilliant goal against Burnley, I think, in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
I've seen
Since that
I've
World
seen,
Cup, he's come back as a different player. He looks
and I
like full
think
of energy. He looks
we've
like
always
that
known
scary Rashford.
We've always known because when he's in that like form, he's a direct runner he's
So
unbelievably
direct. Yeah.
clinical and he's just scary. He's fast, he's powerful, and he's technically brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be frightening if Man United can keep him going like that because they can utilize him through the middle or out wide, and it allows them to sort of when they come up against teams who will set up differently against them, or they want to target, say, like the weak side on the left or right, or whatever, they can move Rashford to that side and then bring in the likes of Martial to play that centre role, or they can bring in Garnacho or even Sancho if he comes back into the fold, so they can really move stuff around, which I think that flexibility is something that Eric Ten Hag is really going to try to utilise over the coming weeks. But yeah, Marcus Rashford, even as England fans, even we know how good he can be. And I just want him to keep this going now, and this just be the level he is for the rest of his career. Because there is no reason that if he could not play for the likes of a PSG or a Real Madrid.
Well,
or
you see,
something
apparently
like
they were linked with him post World Cup. They were
apparently
going
to
to
make him the highest paid player, or something. Just mental.
It's fucked. It's like, what have they seen? But obviously they know that he's good. He's had good games against PSG. He's obviously an elite player. He's still very young as well.
I've seen him and Mbappe flirting over Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Bloody boys.
I think that's the thing. Yeah, they're dropping like little love hearts on each other's posts and stuff like that.
Come on.
Yeah.
But I think
yeah.
if you're United fans, you're excited. I think Varane getting back into fitness is good news for you. Harry Maguire being on the bench, even if he doesn't play, him kind of getting that kind of positive World Cup in him is good news in case you need to rotate for
Luke Shaw
Europa League
playing at
football.
centre back is
That was
unbelievable.
That was rogue. But
I mean,
I don't know.
it worked. Yeah.
I think it's exciting. Casemiro, I think a lot of people were unsure when they signed him. Not that he was like unsure that is he at that level, but like
Can he fix United?
Just unsure if he was the guy to make that much of a difference. Sorry, the dog is getting on my tits. But he has solidified that defense so much and that midfield so much, and just allowed everyone around him to go and do their things without worrying shit like we're leaving space. The defense are kind of open because he just covers so much ground and makes the smart decisions all the time. I think he's probably probably the best DM in the league, I'd say.
No, he's definitely the best DM in the league, especially at this minute. But yeah, I mean, it is scary. I think this United side have taken points off of Arsenal. And
Liverpool.
Liverpool, yep. They beat Spurs as well. I can't quite remember.
Was it? I don't know. I was going to say it's 2-2, but I can't remember.
But they've got, in the next 5 games though, they've got to play Man City and Arsenal. So they haven't got the easiest sort of run coming up. But the table now, if we sort of have a look at the Premier League as a whole,
let's pan over.
You've got Southampton sitting bottom with Forest and Wolves a point above. Obviously, Wolves getting their first win under Julian Lopetegui. Then they've got Everton, West Ham, both sitting on 14 points, which Everton's start to the season that's disappointing. and
Yeah.
West Ham, you would not expect them to be down there. Then you've got the likes of Leeds, who have come. I've seen someone tweet earlier that they've gone from being an exciting mediocre team to being a boring mediocre team under Jesse Marsh. I think it's very true. Then they've got Bournemouth, who's probably surprising people. They're
Yeah.
not on the greatest run of form. They've got 4 losses in the last 5, but I think they will scrape points. I think they will end up getting relegated, but I think the season might just be a bit too long for them. But you never know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they've
I mean,
probably
so
collected a decent amount of points for where they are at the moment.
between
And
12th
there's
and 20th,
definitely, I
you've got
can name
6 points.
3 teams worse than Bournemouth pretty easily, I think.
Yeah, and so it's all still to play for. I know that's obvious to say because we're only 16 games into the season or whatever.
Yeah.
But this sort of January February period is where the games come really thick and fast, and there's going to be a lot of movement all around the table. I mean, we've got looking at the top end of the table, got Arsenal 40 points, and then you've got City 35, Newcastle 33, and then that sort of like weird area where you've got Tottenham, Man United, Liverpool, Brighton, Chelsea with 6 points between them.
Mm.
We're going to see a lot of movement in that. I think we might see potentially Spurs drop out. I think
I hope
Liverpool and
so.
United are going to continue to kick on from where they are.
Yeah. I think it's
I'm still not
between
sure
Liverpool and
about
United for
Chelsea.
that last top 4 spot for
I'm
me.
still not sure about Chelsea.
Yeah, neither am I.
Um, but yeah, I
And
mean,
you see Reece James gone down injured again. He was like,
yeah,
he's pretty much at this point in time their only attacking outlet. And he's gone down injured again, and it looks like for at least a month. So,
I'm gutted for him because I know everyone knows how good he can be,
yeah.
and I you don't want to see a player like sort of lose what they could be because of an injury. Like we
Yeah,
know he's not the finished article yet, but if he gets any better, he's going to be scary for any team to play against. And you'd rather
definitely.
always have him on your team, and he could go on to be a better right back than Trent, or he goes to be on to be like one of the best right backs in the world. He probably already is
Yeah,
when he's
yeah.
fit, but you know, hopefully he can recover from that and put that all behind him. But it's going to be a tight one. Do you think Newcastle have what it takes to stay in that?
I think so. I think they look good. I think the fact that they've got no European football helps. I think the players have all brought into Eddie Howe's ideas. I think it's looking good for Newcastle. And like I said, I think it's my top 3 at the moment are Arsenal, City, Newcastle, and then I think it's between Liverpool and Man United for that 4th spot.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, United can go fourth if they because they've got a game in hand, haven't they? Against I can't remember
Mm.
who the game in hand is, but they do have a game in hand, and so Liverpool win their game in hand as well. They got 2 points behind Spurs, so it is all still to play for.
Yeah, big time.
Um, but yeah, it's the games like you say in January, February. They just start piling on.
I think what Chelsea have got going for them is they've got an owner from the news that I'm seeing that is not afraid to splash the cash. I think they've been linked with Enzo Fernandez now. I think
Yeah,
they're linked with Benoit Badiashile as a defender. So fucking who knows what Chelsea team will look like at the end of the January transfer window? They could get a whole new starting 11 in.
yeah. No, it's gonna be. Oh man, it's exciting. And like you say, we've got the mix of the January transfer window coming
We
up
do.
as well. So we've got a
Prediction
lot
time?
of games coming. Yeah, we've got a lot of games coming up now.
We do.
Over. So we're filming this on the 29th. We
We
have
are.
a whole game week of fixtures between now and the 1st of January,
Yep. Between now and
and
Sunday, we've
then
got fucking loads of games. And then
from the
Monday
2nd
to
to the
Thursday.
5th, we've got a whole other week. There is the rescheduled Chelsea Fulham fixture, but we're going to whack that onto the game week predictions following that
We
because
are
there's
indeed. But we're going to
games on the
do
12th and 13th.
fucking
So
what, 20 predictions for you now? So
yeah, and
fucking
Ross has got to go
buckle your
back and edit
seatbelts,
it
mate.
all into
Jesus.
an image into a yeah. I don't know.
Oh,
Wait, you got
yeah.
to do a two
Oh,
part
yeah, it'll be a two
post. Yeah,
bosher. Right. Shall we quickly bosh through these then? Luke, West Ham,
yeah.
Brentford, what are you saying?
West Ham, Brentford. West Ham poor. Brentford decent. I just feel like West Ham's luck's got to turn at some point. I
Yeah.
think this might be a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. I like that shout. I think the West Ham have looked so poor recently, and I think Brentford will be a bit annoyed about dropping points against Spurs. I think I can see a draw as well. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, though.
All right. Liverpool, Leicester. I fancy Liverpool to absolutely smash Leicester.
Yeah, it could be ropes for Leicester.
I might go for a 4-0.
4-0.
I was gonna go 5, but I might go 4.
I like the idea of Liverpool conceding at the moment. They're like Spurs in the sense that every game, no matter if they play well or badly, their defence seems to just let in at least a chance. And so I can see Leicester scoring one, but I can see Leicester shipping a bunch. I'm going to go 4-1 4-1 Liverpool.
Sorry for your bands. Ooh.
Exactly that.
Moving on to Saturday, early kickoff. We've got Wolves versus Man United, which is quite an interesting one because Man United are looking very good. Wolves a bit of an unknown quantity in the
Good result against
under
Everton to get
Lopetegui.
the last minute winner.
Yeah, it might take a little bit of time though under Julian Lopetegui to get
Yeah, I think
going.
so.
So I'm probably going to go for a Man United win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Man United, I think.
I like that. I'm going to go for 1-0 Man United, I think. I think
Nice close affair.
Wolves are going to dominate the game, but I think Man United's quality in the final third will be too much.
I think Wolves will dominate the game. Interesting.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they've got the team to dominate games.
Oh, definitely. The Portuguese contingent. You got Bournemouth, who are a bit out form against another team who are out form in Crystal Palace. For me, Crystal Palace, I don't know what's going on. They've got such good attacking players,
Yeah, it's fallen off a
but they
cliff,
just
hasn't it?
can't seem to get it going. I mean, when you've got a team with the likes of Zaha, Eze, and Elise sitting behind a striker, whether it be Mateta or Edouard or whoever, Ayew, they should be getting more goals than they are. And I
Yeah,
think they're a
100%.
little bit reserved. And after see the likes of Eze and Elise a bit too deep, and their only sort of outlet is that Anderson ball to Zaha, which if they get a player blocking that off, they don't really produce anything. So it's going to be interesting. I think I might go for a 1-0 Palace.
1-0 Palace.
Yeah,
Interesting. I think it's going to be a tight game. I'm going to go 1-1.
1-0.
I think. Yep. Fulham,
Fulham,
Southampton.
Southampton. I fancy Fulham to do the biz.
Same.
I might
I'm going
go.
to
I
go
might
2-0
go.
Fulham.
I'm going to go for a 3-2 Fulham.
3-2. That's a good
Fancy
game. We
goals
like to
on
see
this.
that.
Yeah, fancy goals. I think Nathan Jones will get ratted out
Talking of
again.
goals, Man City at home to Everton. That is a goal fest if I've ever seen
9,
one.
9.
Yeah,
Is that
I'm
outrageous?
going to go 4-0.
I might go 5.
5, yeah, I'll back it. There's going to be goals for sure in that game. Get your overs bet on. And in this one
Newcastle
as well,
versus
to be
Leeds.
fair.
It's going to be a really good game. I think this might be a 3. I don't know actually. I think it's going to be a tight one. I think this might be a 2-1 Newcastle.
I'm going to go 2-0 Newcastle.
Okay.
And then the big
And
old boys.
yeah, Brighton versus Arsenal. De Zerbi's Brighton versus Arsenal. I don't know about De Zerbi's Brighton. I think they look really good at times, but the results haven't always been the best.
I feel like they either batter a team or they'll get battered.
And what's it going to be, Roz?
I'm hoping we batter them. I'm going 2-0 Arsenal. That's not a battering, but I'm going 2-0 Arsenal.
I'm going for a 2-2 draw.
So I'd hate it, but I'd probably take it.
Yeah, I'm going for a 2-2 draw. And then on Sunday, we've got Spurs versus Villa. Two teams that don't play great football.
Yeah, a bit stinker.
I'm going to go for, I think, maybe a 2-0 Spurs.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? I see Spurs just kind of getting a win just to kind of take the pressure off of them from the media. And then everybody forgets how shit they've been for a couple more weeks. They get a couple more stinkers in, get another result that kind of squashes
And the cycle continues.
And yeah, but like you said, I think they just get like an easy, maybe 1-0, 2-0. I'm going to go 1-0 Spurs, I think.
And then rounding out that game week, we've got Forest versus Chelsea. I think Chelsea might be coming into a little bit of form. I think Forest I don't know what their plan is. They spent way too much money, bought in too many players. And I think
I'm going to go for an upset, though. I'm going to go Forest 2-1.
Are you? I'm going to go for a 1-0 Chelsea.
Boring. Okay.
Not an upset, mate. Right.
In week 19.
Yeah. So we've got
straight after
kicking off with Brentford, Liverpool. This could be a really interesting game.
Yeah, it's always a good game when these two play each other.
Was it last season where it was like 4-3 or something like that? Or something 3-0, yeah. That was a mental game. Brentford at home. I think Liverpool are going to keep their form up. I think they might go on a little bit of a run. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Liverpool.
We might see Cody Gakpo on the pitch. They've just signed for 40 milli under the noses of Man United. But yeah, I think it's a Liverpool win. I'm going to go 3-1 Liverpool.
3-1 Liverpool. And then Tuesday night, a big game at the Emirates. You got Arsenal, Newcastle. You want to fire away with this one, or should I take the reins?
I'm scared, Luke. I'm scared. I think at the Emirates, I think if it was at St James's Park, it could be a tough. Well, it's going to be a tough night anyway, but a tough night at the St James's Park. But the Emirates, I would never not back us to catch the dub. So I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm going to join you. I think we'll go for 2-1 as well.
Nice.
I think Arsenal might. Yeah, I don't know. Someone's run's got to end.
Yep.
You
And
know,
it's going to be theirs.
we got the Toffees versus Brighton, and 2-1 Brighton.
Yeah, I see Brighton smashing them if I'm honest. Unless I think the thing that's hard with when you do fixtures, the state of this dog, man. Where you do fixtures when there's
They're a
like
week
a week
ahead.
after. Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't know
injuries or
what's happening. But I think Brighton slap them. I'm going to go 2-0 Brighton.
2-0 Brighton.
Yep.
Leicester Fulham. I'm gonna go for. I think I might go for a draw. I might go for a 1-1 draw. I haven't predicted any 0-0s yet, but I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw.
I see. Oh, yeah, this is a draw. I think it's going to be a hard one. I think maybe 2-2.
Okay.
Right, let's rattle through these because the lights are going down.
Man United, Bournemouth. We've got. I'm going to keep Man United on their winning streak.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 United.
2-0 United.
And then
Southampton Forest.
Wednesday, I'm going to go for a 0-0.
Yeah, that does have stinker written all over it, but I'm going to go 1-0 Southampton.
Leeds, West Ham. I'm going to go for a. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw in Leeds, West Ham. I think West Ham might get on a bit of a run starting on this game. Don't know why, I can feel it. Or it could be the end of David Moyes. But yeah, I'm going to go 1-0 to West Ham.
And then we've got Villa versus Wolves. Two relatively new managers in the Premier League.
Yeah, boy.
This might be a stinky little evening of football because I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw, I think.
Yeah, all those games do look pretty shit on the Wednesday, don't they?
Palace Spurs will be good.
Aston Villa Wolves. What am I saying? Low scoring, I think. I'm going to go 1-0 Villa.
Okay, interesting. And then rounding that day out, we've got Palace versus Spurs. Could be a potentially interesting game if Palace will allow a bit more freedom against a pretty slow and non-dominant Spurs.
Yeah.
I might go for a 3-2 Spurs.
Ooh. I'm going to back Palace.
Okay.
And it's got nothing to do with it being Spurs. Has quite a lot of it down to Spurs. But I don't think Spurs are that good. Palace haven't looked great. So it could be a stinker. I'm going to go 2-1 Palace.
Okay. And then we've got a big one on Thursday night. We've got Chelsea versus Man City, rounding out that game week for us anyway. This could be interesting. I don't think Chelsea have enough to stop City.
Yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
it might be a tight affair. I think I might go for a 2-1 City.
2-1 City. Yeah, I like that, to be fair. I'm going to go 3-1 City.
Yeah, it's going to be because I fancy Chelsea's backline doing it. I think they're better against better teams. Like I
Yeah,
feel
maybe
like
when they've got a lot of defending to do, yeah.
yeah,
Rather than like
potentially they're a bit
dictate
more
the game.
switched on and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. Chelsea's forward line, I think they still need
Yeah, they've just got
a
nothing
top
going
class striker.
forward beyond like Mason Mount with the occasional decent goal or Reece James doing like Reece James
Or
stuff.
Havertz turning up with a header or a back post or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, we've got like every team playing 2 games in the space of literally like a week. So
Yeah. And then we'll
it's
be
going to
back
be
with a mega podcast where we run
it's going to
through
have to be a big one.
a million games. I can imagine there's going to be so many news lines by the end of.
Transfers, yeah.
So yeah, we'll do a big old session in the studio. Have a
Yeah, man. But
get the
yeah,
bevs in.
this will be our last episode before the new year. So from us at BoreDraw, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Hope you have everything you want coming into the year, and let us know what your resolutions are in terms of football. You're gonna support a better team than Spurs or something? I don't
Mad.
know.
But yeah, have a lovely
Yeah.
new year, everyone,
Have a
and
great
we'll
new
see you on the
year.
flip side.
Yeah, hopefully the football is kind to you, and yeah, we'll have a good one. But yeah, remember to like, subscribe, follow all our socials. Everything's down in the description below. But yeah, get involved, get your nan subscribed. That could be your New Year's
Please do.
resolution. But
Please
yeah,
do.
thank you very much for watching, guys. It's been BoreDraw, and it's live.
Yeah, wood.